So as we direct our mind to focus on particular things, staying with what happens in our lives in a constructive way, whether it's good or bad, then letting go of the bad and focusing more on the good things that happen, giving ourselves time to enrich and to actually absorb those good things, we're making new neural connections and changing the structure of our brain. At the same time, there's a sense of disengagement of the amygdala or other parts of the brain that are concerned with the emotional reactivity that we might experience. And so there's a whole lot of flow-on effect to hormones in the body and the rest of it. My question is, given that that's so, is it possible that by changing the way we think, we not only give ourselves the best chance at being healthy, but can actually make ourselves healthier?
Oh, that's a very deep, deep topic. And a couple things.
In three sentences or less? Yes, no.
Yeah,
Sorry, I'm
yeah,
only being facetious.
yeah.
Mm.
Um, well, first, just to make a key point, what you do, for example, Judith, in terms of helping people become more mindful, which is to say, become more regulated of their attention, and also more spacious and accepting and self-compassionate in how they relate to what they're paying attention to. That's critically important. Your work is very important. William James, the godfather of American psychology over a century ago, wrote that the education of attention would be the education par excellence, because neuroplasticity is really, really heightened for what we pay focused attention to. Most people don't have very good control over their attention. So the kind of work you do with mindfulness training really helps people get better control over their attention, since attention, in effect, is a kind of vacuum cleaner, sucking whatever it rests upon into our brain, especially if it rests upon something negative, without spacious, mindful, compassionate awareness. And so that's the first thing I want to say. Second, you're exactly right. The brain's important, but the brain is just part of the nervous system, which intertwines with the rest of the body. And as you point out, and much research supports you in saying, as we experience, let's say, more stress, which is the hallmark of which is negative emotion, experiences of sadness, fear, anger, and shame as spectrums that we're identified with. As we experience stress, including just frustration, irritation, anxiety, resentment, feeling hurt, things like that, inadequacy, as we experience that, well, that leads to accumulating wear and tear on the body. That accumulating wear and tear was not very relevant in terms of survival and passing on genes, when most of our ancestors had children before they were 20 and grandchildren before they were 40, and died young, typically. But these days, when a lot of people, me included, are wanting to live longer and also focus more on quality of life, this design that leads emotionally upsetting experiences to shorten the lifespan and produce illness of various kinds is not very good for us today. That's why, as even for example, mainstream medicine recognizes that probably at least half of the disease burden in the developed world is due to lifestyle factors, including the lifestyle of how we relate to our own mind, the experience of stress. So one of the absolutely most powerful things a person can do for their own mental health is to train their mind by developing resources and getting more skillful so that they can manage their stresses, their challenges. In other words, a person can have challenges and stressors without feeling stressed about it. In other words, you can have threats that you're dealing with in effective ways without feeling excessively anxious. You can deal with losses, you can deal with major opportunities without getting caught up in frustration or disappointment. You can deal with interpersonal challenges, interpersonal issues, without getting caught up in hurt or inadequacy. But to do that, that's what I call staying in the green zone when the world is flashing red. To do that, you need to build resources inside. And so just to sum up, I think the research for the benefits of mental resources, I call them inner strengths, for physical health as well as longevity is so compelling. It's really remarkable how much research there is about the effect of mental factors on physical health outcomes. It's not the only factor. There are others as well, including, frankly, just bad luck. Okay, but in terms of what we can do something about, jeepers, what we can do something about is what happens between the years. And there is so much research on the benefits of mental health factors in terms of physical health that if the big drug companies like Pfizer or Merck, whatnot, could patent what you do every day with people, Judith, or other forms of mental training, we'd be seeing ads for mindfulness training every night on television, because it is so good for physical health.